Okay, so question one. Let's set the stage a little bit before we dive in too deep. So Jaime, can you talk about the state of AI, specifically in contact center and customer experience technology? Tell us what's happening.
Yeah, so Emily, it's a good question. Over the last 5 years, we've seen a pretty dramatic shift in how AI is implemented in the contact center world. And it really comes down to this balance of customer experience and return on investment. The technology's enabled, organizations to be, or enable these contact centers to be faster, smarter, provide more customer service-oriented applications that they weren't not able to do in the history, or it was so expensive, it was prohibitive to do it. And so that's been a pretty dramatic change. The other part is that it's, a big part of AI has been really increasing the intelligence in these organizations. And my background is specifically in the customer experience and then the contact center domain for AI. And when you look at that, with the advent of conversational AI being used and generative AI into the contact center, it's allowed us to do things that we were just talking about 10 years ago in this area, or dreaming about, or if we did start them, they were very large, expensive projects to do. Maybe when you first heard a conversational AI application by American Airlines 5 or 7 years ago, you were like, wow, that's a pretty big deal. And that was like a 10 million plus project to do, and it took years to implement fundamentally. That type of sophisticated project, even for typical enterprises now, could be done in weeks to months. And so that's just a major shift in the overall industry. And it's only getting better in that area. The other part of it is like, why is it, there's some data out there that shows that the contact center, we're very fortunate in that space, is that it's been one of the most active AI implementations out there. There's a reason for it. It's like where enterprises are dipping their toe into AI experiences, and because it has one of those few use cases, not only is it doing automation and it provides an ROI in fundamentally every application you do, but there's a customer experience impact. And so companies get double the bonus, right, when they're looking at it versus just I'm going to do, operations improvement or so forth. They're getting this impact that they can see not only from a ROI perspective, but from a trade-off on how they're dealing with their customers. And that means competitive advantages. And so if you can translate that into the right use cases, that literally happens in almost every use case that you implement. And so what has, can I show this?
Yeah.
I'm going to share some data that we had from one of the leading consultants in this area, Aberdeen. It just came out last year too. This is really recent intelligence that came out. They did a study on about 584 contact centers. They were trying to figure out what's best in breed and what's the impact of AI being implemented at these organizations versus organizations that didn't have AI in it. What they found was, in this world, dramatic increases in performance levels. And for those of you that aren't running contact centers, then I'm going to give a little high-level view of it. And then for those that are running contact centers, these issues or customer experience models. First contact resolution, service cost, employee engagement, and handle times are really big metrics of what runs, what contact centers and customer experience groups manage and to run their operations. These are some of the main ones that drive, the difference between your success and failure in these operations. And what they found was AI organizations that implemented some forms of AI or a lot of it grew, literally could be 7x the improvement over organizations that didn't. So they were considered obviously best in class, and they'd done this over the last 12 to 36 months in their operations. Same things with service cost and again, improvement in average handling time. So for all of you who aren't, when our contact center folks, and when we call up these contact centers, they're always trying to reduce these average handling times, right? Because not only is that cost money to the organization to run them. More importantly, it's how efficient you are at dealing with that interaction with your customers, right? And these are always, sometimes with mature organizations, really challenging to do. And so with the breakthrough of like AI being implemented, you could see some dramatic improvements, for example. And so, today I'm going to try to share with you, like, what are they doing, right, in order to achieve these kind of results. So, Emily, maybe we can go to the next one. I just wanted to, and I wanted to relate it to something really practical. All of us have called these contact centers before, or organizations for asking for help, or, trying to find out our account balances, or whatever the reason. This is some data that we have at Five9 I'm going to share with you. And if Emily, if you're not familiar with Five9, we're a cloud contact center provider, one of the leading ones in the world. So we deal with thousands and thousands of companies, and we implement these, anywhere from very, very large contact centers to smaller ones for enterprises. But our focus is enterprise applications and contact centers. And the information to our left here is a group of our customers, in fact, showing their abandoned call rates, right? And so each dot is about a month of abandoned calls. And then on the other side of it, accounts with IVA, which these are accounts with an AI application called an intelligent virtual agent. It's like an automation application. So when you call into these organizations and you talk, and you have now, instead of having these kind of IVR applications that are kind of robotic, you have these conversational AI agents that are talking to you a lot more humanistically, but more importantly, they're also more intelligent. They're able to do more sophisticated, complex applications, and they're driven by conversational AI. So in just this use case alone, or overall use cases, the impact is that it's reduced the abandoned calls virtually across the board. So we still have a lot of opportunity in our customer base to improve it, because these are customers that aren't using the abandoned calls, the IVAs yet, and so you can see their abandoned call rate is very high. And for any of you that have run a business or contact center, that's like the death of customer service. People who hang up on you and are pissed off because they didn't get what they wanted, or they're delayed. That's like one of your biggest complaints, right? And in certain companies, if it's retail or some other operation, it's really important. And so this application, for instance, does that. And that's why that Aberdeen research really correlates to exactly what we're seeing in the field too. That was independent. We see that across the board on the AI implementations. And this is just a good example, and it literally does this, and there's a reason for it. It's not just because of the automation that the technology is really sexy and interesting. It's from a practical perspective, when you put like for instance, an intelligent virtual agent in place, it's able to what we call deflect a call. So basically, instead of like a human agent answering and taking that call, right, a digital agent can handle that same interaction, that use case. So getting your balance, or processing an order, or making an appointment that a human agent used to do. So it takes that load off of the contact center, as long as you can find that right use case. And it's not for every application, but it's for these simple or basic or more even complex ones, but they're regular type of applications that you do on a regular basis. Now, this result here happens because, just imagine, you're able, when you put one of these systems in, you're able to get 10, 20, 30, 40% of your calls deflected from that contact center. So why the abandoned rates go down? Well, because now you got 10, 20, 30, 40% less calls go into the contact center to the agents directly in their queues, and now they're able to handle more calls. That's it. That's the magic of it, beyond the technology. They're able to handle more effectively your calls coming through. The hold times are so significantly less. And so these operations right here are running so much better than their peers that don't have these systems in place. So we eventually are going to believe this is going to be like the norm, because once you do put them in place, that's what happens. And it just, as long as you can find the right use cases, right? So that's I think a pretty good example. Emily, of like improvements in this area. And the other part, why it's also, we're seeing trends and why this is being implemented, AI in general, is because there's new platforms being developed and technologies, like Five9 and others are putting it together in Wilmac, is that they're easier to implement now. With the advent of cloud computing and cloud applications, that's like one of the foundational ones. But more importantly, like open APIs are available, which make these application programming interfaces that allow systems to talk to one another are available more and more, as well as the ability to have like these no code or low code applications. So it's easier even for IT groups or individuals or even business users to make these applications, right? So all of that is happening, and it's just this flurry over the last 5 years. And it goes without saying, the core technologies out there that are driving this conversational AI, generative AI applications, these core engines, are a major driver. These weren't available at the level and performance they were a few years ago, and that's going to continue to grow and grow. And I think it's just like probably the beginning of that explosion.
Awesome. Yeah, so a lot's happening, to summarize.